My name is Scher, and welcome to my Increasing Your Power tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll discuss 7 important key elements in generating power. These elements are reactionary force, leverage, building speed, moving your body forwards, having a small impact point, rotating your striking tool, relaxing until the moment of impact. The formula for power is 1/2 mass times velocity squared equals power, or force, but for martial arts purposes, the two concepts are interchangeable. Power is composed of 2 parts, mass and velocity. Mass is basically weight, and velocity is speed in a specific direction. The goal of a martial artist is to increase these 2 elements, mass and velocity, in every one of our techniques over and over again until they become as powerful as physically possible. Take 2 people, a large person and a small person. Who can hit harder? The answer is the large person. No matter how much technique a small person adds, if a large person adds the same technique and uses the same skills, then the large person will always have the advantage of power because their mass is greater. Think about 2 rocks, a large rock and a small rock. You drop both of them on a measuring surface. They travel at the same speed. Which one's going to hit harder? The large rock. Anything larger can hit harder. The scientific principle martial artists use to increase their weight when they do a technique so that it's more powerful is called reactionary force. Now, suppose you punch a brick wall and the wall doesn't break. What's probably going to happen? You're probably going to break or hurt your hand. The reason is when you punch the wall and the wall doesn't move, all the force you put into it bounces back. It's as if you're punching yourself in the hand. So we can use this same effect, the same rebound force or reactionary force, to increase the effect of our mass. The floor is just like a brick wall. It's not going to move when you hit it. So if you drop downward, the floor in effect will push upwards. It's the same thing we use to make us be able to jump. So if you stand on a scale and you push down as hard as you can, the floor will push the bottom of the scale and the numbers will go up. In effect, your weight has increased. So if you strike at the same time as you drop down into the floor, your weight will have increased for that moment of impact. So instead of punching like a 100-pound person, you're going to punch like a 200-pound person. Reactionary force is a very important technique in power escalation. Another principle we can use to increase the effect of our weight or mass is leverage. Now you'll find that your hips are distance apart and they rest on the fulcrum of your spine or tailbone. So if you push one hip forward, the other hip will go backward. If you push one hip backwards and one hip forwards, the force that you push on each hip will be expressed on both sides. So by using your hips in a technique, pushing forwards and pulling backwards at the same time, you almost double the effective expression of mass on both sides. The same principle works for your shoulders. They're another lever. If you push one shoulder forward and the other one back, rotating them on the pivotal fulcrum of your spine, then you can multiply again the force that your hips multiplied. So if you drop your weight, rotate your hips, and rotate your shoulders in quick succession, almost at the same time, you can double or even quadruple the effective force that you're creating. We've talked about mass. Now, the other part of the formula for speed is velocity, speed in a specific direction. The formula for speed is distance divided by time. Suppose you have 2 lines, one long one and one short one. And within 1 second, someone needs to travel from point A on the line to point B on the line. Which one, the long line or the small line, will have the person traveling faster? The answer is the long line. The greater the distance, in the least amount of time, you have the greatest speed. So when we chamber for a technique, we want to travel the greatest distance in the least amount of time. Now, if all of our power and speed comes from the rotation of our hips and shoulders, then no matter how far your striking tool is from your body, if it's connected, it's going to travel at the same speed you're rotating. So the further your striking tool is from your body, as you swing your body, the faster that striking tool is going to travel and the greater its impact is going to be. Try this example. If I have a short stick and a long stick and I swing them at this Wave Master from my core using very little power from my arms, if I swing the short stick, it's not going to generate as much power as when I swing the long stick. The long stick is traveling faster because it's traveling a greater distance in the same amount of time that the short stick is traveling. The formula for power is 1/2 mass times velocity squared. So let's say you have someone who weighs 100 pounds and they move forward at 5 miles per hour about 3 feet. If they do this and strike at the same time as they're moving forward, their power is going to be dramatically increased. So shifting forward while you strike is a great element in increasing your power. There are Tai Chi masters who do a very impressive demonstration where they'll line up a bunch of people, they'll put their arms on the first person, connect those onto their body, and shift their weight forwards. When they shift the weight forwards, all of those people will fly backwards. I don't think you really need any kind of super energy or a mystical force to make this happen. It's physics. It's your body shifting. If you really want to create a powerful strike, the power itself isn't as important as the way the power impacts your target. If you want to break a board, for example, you wouldn't slap the board with the whole palm of your hand, because then all of your force will be spread out into a large area. You want all of your force to boil down into a needle-sharp, small point that will impact with the greatest effect and dig deep into your target and destroy it. Another element of power is rotating your striking tool at the moment of impact. When you throw a punch, your punch isn't at the same angle the entire time. When we do a sitting stance punch, we start our hand upside down, we extend it upside down. At the moment of impact, we turn it over so that it hits our opponent like a drill, striking wood. We want our hand to twist into our opponent. This twist will increase the effect of any power and force that we've developed. When you throw a side kick, we do the same thing. We thrust it out and we twist at the very end. When you do a low block, you start palm up, you swing your arm in, and then you rotate your wrist at the end. When you do a double knife hand block, you chamber palm to palm, you swing your block in, and then you flip them at the end. It's very important that every technique flip at the end. It's very important to relax until the moment of impact. Any tension in your body will work against your body. I think that Bruce Lee said it best in his work, The Tao of Taekwondo, when he said, "Any excessive tension in the lengthening muscles acts as a brake and thereby slows and weakens the action." Because it's important to be relaxed until the moment of impact, a chamber for any technique that contracts the body and forces the muscles to tense up may be an ineffective chamber. So it's important to relax your chambers for any technique so the hips can cause a smooth arcing motion and the arms can move freely, connected to your body. Just like a Chinese drum. A relaxed body, tensing at the moment of impact, will create a lot more power than a tense, hard body moving against itself. If you breathe in when you strike, your body will tense up. When you breathe out, you're relaxed. That's why we exhale when we strike. The harder you exhale, the more force you can generate. One method that I find very useful in relaxing the body and conditioning the body to be relaxed until the moment of impact is to do a pre-strike drop. You go, you do a down, up, down motion. The initial down serves to condition your body to relax before any strike. It's very important to understand the process a martial artist uses to really understand and develop all of the elements of power. When a scientist is studying an atom, he can't spend all of his time looking through a microscope. So he'll look through a microscope, see an atom, and build a large model of the atom, and then study the model and figure out how it works through that. A martial artist will do the same thing. They'll take a technique and they'll make it bigger and larger and more dramatic. So they can study all of the elements individually. The rotation of the hips, the dropping of the weight, the chambering of the arms, the swiveling of the spine, the exhale of the breath. All of these different despairing elements need to come together. So we'll practice them big and large and exaggerated. And then, as we get to understand them and know them better, we'll hone them down and refine them into a very small, quick, sharp, fine movement. Every martial art, be it karate, tai chi, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, uses some or all of these elements to generate power in their techniques. In Taekwondo, the unified theory of power, the way all of these elements are brought together for practice is called the sine wave. Thank you very much for watching my generating power tutorial. Please don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. And please check out the other videos on my YouTube channel.